Okay, today we're going to create an image that's going to look like a sketch drawing. It's going to look like a pencil sketch. And this is what it's going to look like. However, when I did that, I thought, well, that's kind of boring. The background's kind of boring. So I decided to go back and add a little bit of a background. And I've got here and here. So there's a number of different ways you can do that. This one, I literally just drew scribbly lines with the brush tool in the background. And this one, I used some filters. And again, here's with another filter. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So we're going to go here to the original image, and you're going to make sure that your workspace is reset. So click on reset to reset. So you should only have history and layers. And again, under window, you should have history and layers. And of course, options and tools will need to have open. Now, the first thing I want to do before I begin the tutorial is I'm going to right click on any tool that's up here. It doesn't matter what tool selected, you click and you're going to go to reset all tools, and we'll reset them to the default settings so we get rid of any presets that we had done from previous activities. Okay. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to make this background white. Now this image, the background is white, but yours it may not be. Make sure your background is selected. Go to Select, Subject. It'll take a second. And it'll select your person. And then I'm going to go to Select Inverse. And at this point, you could grab your paintbrush and flip-flop your colors and make it, of course, a larger brush size by making it bigger, and then painting it all in white. And I don't need to do that because this one's already done. Okay, so because this image doesn't have anything in the background, I can do a number of different things. I could decide, and by the way, I don't want to mess up this one, so I'm going to duplicate the entire layer so that I don't mess this up. One of the things that I could do is switch my colors, and I could go in here and make it 100% hard, and I could go in here and just kind of scribble in here because I've got the background selected. It's only putting in those marks in the background. And go in here. Let's change the brush size, make it a little bit smaller. And I'll just add some scribbles in here. And basically what I'm trying to do is create some texture in here. Now, I don't even want that, so I'm going to back up till I have nothing. I'm going to do this a different way. I'm going to grab the gradient tool, and there are plenty of gradients in here that I could choose from, but I don't want those. I want to do something else, so I'm going to go to Window and Gradients. And in the gradient section, these are all the ones that are already loaded. I'm going to click and hold here and come down to Legacy Gradients, and now I'll have an entire set here. And I'm going to come down in here and I'm going to find one that I like. So you know I like rainbows. I'm going to click in here. But before I do, I want to switch. Instead of having the regular gradient, I'm going to choose to a classic gradient in my tools bar here. This is really important, classic gradient. And then I'm going to click here, and it's going to draw this gradient. And I'm going to adjust this a little bit so it comes in a little bit diagonally. Okay, I don't need that gradient window anymore. I'll go ahead and shut it. Now, this created a mask on here, and I don't want that. So what do I have to do to fix that? Well, let's throw this away, and let's try this again. Select Subject, so it's selected. Select Inverse, and try again. This time with the classic gradient selected, I'm going to click and drag, and now see the difference in the background? I want it to be one layer. I don't want it to be a mask. All right, next thing I want to do is come to the filter menu, and I'm going to come down to Pixelate, and there's a lot of different ones. Color halftone, we'll create the dots. We've done that in the previous exercise. That one will look like this. And remember how we had 45, 45, 45 for all of them? If you don't have the numbers the same, you'll get more of a, like almost like, see how they're solid over here and they're smaller dots over here, you get a variation. And if you change your number, the very number on the top, to a larger number, these dots will become bigger. So if you want bigger dots, you can go to a larger number. I'm going to go for something more like this. So let's go back to our image, and I'm going to go to Filter, Pixelate, and I'm going to come down to Pointillize. Now again, you can play with any of these. A lot of these, the noise ones, and you can play with some of the other ones in here. Some of these waves and spherize and all these. I'm going to go to Filter, Pixelize, Pointillize, and I'm going to zoom out a little bit so I can see what's going on. Now you see how it's adding black to my image right now? That's because black is my foreground color. I don't think I want that, so I'm going to go back in here and I'm going to press D on my keyboard to reset this. I'm going to have white now, so Filter, Pixelate, Pointillize, and if I zoom out, you see how I'm getting white into my image, and that's kind of what I want. The cell size, adjusting that cell size, smaller cell size, larger cell size. Okay, so I don't think I want as big of a cell size. I'm going to go for something about like that and click OK. So now I've got some texture in my background. Now I'm ready to start doing this project. So the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to deselect, Control D to deselect. I'm going to duplicate this by dragging it to the new layer icon so I have a second image, a second background copy. I'm going to go to Image, Adjustments, and Desaturate, which takes all the color away from it. Now at this point, you're going to make sure that you have plenty of dark darks and light lights in your image. I'm going to go to Image, Adjustments, Brightness and Contrast, and I'm going to adjust the brightness just a little bit, just to brighten up her skin and brighten up her hair highlights. So I'm going to click OK, and I'm going to go again, duplicate this layer, drag it to the plus symbol, and I'm going to go to Select. Actually, I want to invert it, so I'm going to press Control I to Control I will invert that image. So now I have a negative of this image. Okay, so now I'm going to take the blend mode of this layer and change it to Color Dodge. Now it looks like I don't have much here, but this next step will show me how to do this. So I'm going to right click and convert this to a smart object. And again, I had to right click on the words, not on the picture of it. I had to right click on the words and convert it to a smart image. You'll see a little icon right there that shows you it's a smart image now. And now I'm going to create a Gaussian blur. Filter, Blur, Gaussian blur. And depending on how high you have it, see how we lose a little bit of her face? What you want to do is you want to adjust this down. Now it might be 20, it might be 50. You have to adjust it for your image. I'm going to take this down a little bit because I like how her hair is starting to get that like fine lines and details in her details in her hair, and I'm also getting some details in her face area here too. So I think I'm going to go about 19 for that. Again, it might be all the way up to 78, 78, 80. Just depends on your image. I'm going to go ahead and click OK. Now I'm going to come down here to the Layers panel in the half black, half white circle. I'm going to come up here and choose Levels. And it opens up this property window, and I really don't need that here, and it's kind of in my way. So I'm going to go to Window and uncheck Properties to get rid of it. So in this Levels adjustment, now I'm going to change the blend mode of this layer to Multiply. So there it is right there, Multiply. Okay. And now it's a little harsh, so I'm going to adjust the opacity to about 40%. So now it's not quite as contrasting and as dramatic as it was before. It's a little bit more subtle again. Okay, finally I'm going to come back to my background layer. And by the way, that's the background layer that has that gradient in it, not my original one that has the white layer. I'm going to duplicate this background layer, and I'm going to click and drag it all the way to the top and let go. And now I'm going to change the blend mode of this to color, and that's going to allow the color to come through on this image. And so now I have this kind of sketchy looking person and a little background. So again, you can play with those backgrounds and see how you like it.